The time is 9 o'clock, and you are listening to CHMA 106.9 FM.
And now it's time for your CHMA News. We're broadcasting from Sackville, New Brunswick, the heart of the Maritimes and the traditional and unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq people. Coming up in the next 15 minutes, we'll have your local news, Atlantic update, weather, sports update, and some community announcements.
Hello, this is Clinton Davis with your local CHMA News. It is just about the end of the year, and I'm going to bring you a 3-part roundup for the year in Tantramar according to CHMA News. News is regularly evolving, and to anyone who isn't aware, the current CHMA local news format is local news reporting Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, as well as, where we can, briefs and short stories Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're looking for more journalists, so if you feel you have a knack for writing and reporting and want to grow and be trained in that category, make sure you apply at chmafm.com. So, our Tantramar News Roundup for 2025 is going to start off covering January through April. And of course, in part 2 and part 3, we're going to build up. We're going to cover January to April, but not necessarily chronologically. And you can always catch up with these 3 stories once they're complete in both written format as well as with the radio links on chmafm.com. Before we get into the stories themselves, a quick note on the newsroom. We have our daily local hosts, and then for most of early 2025, Erica Butler was the sole LJI local journalist covering Tantramar for CHMA, continuing more than 5 years of reporting on council, culture, and community life. As of February 28th, myself, Clinton Davis, posted my first story for CHMA News as a part-time journalist under the Radio Meters grant. I was shortly joined after by Laura McMillan, and we began our training under local CBC award-winning journalist Tori Weldon, alongside, of course, Erica Butler, who was integral in also helping to get Laura and I situated. Now, as it turns out, or maybe to some, of course, creating original local journalism can be quite timely and expensive. So shout outs to operations manager James, who, with the help of others, has so diligently over the years worked hard to seek out the grants that would allow local news to be possible in Tantramar on the radio and on the web. Now, the community is blessed to have more than one journalist reporting from different perspectives, and it's great to have those radio waves. It seemed the two of us had stepped into a year that was already moving quite fast for what some would call a small community. So let's get into that. And again, that journalistic context matters, as I was not a part of CHMA News for January and February of 2025. But in the same way that we're all already thinking of January 2026, the month of January usually brings that reset energy. New calendar, new outlook, new intentions, and a sense that things are going to go a certain way. We'll start with Tantramar Council. Politics. From the first council meeting of the year, it appears that residents were already quite engaged. Public question periods were active, agendas were full, and again, stories weren't just about what council was discussing, but among residents, there appeared to be confusion around how decisions were made. Confusion was around process, where major issues were first brought to committee of the whole meetings, where council discussed them, staff presented, but no official votes were taken. The votes that took place were votes to move these topics into regular council meetings to be officially decided. And then when those same items later returned to regular council meetings again, residents asked the question, was anything decided? What changed since last time? Why are we talking about this again? We thought it had been voted on. For councillors and staff, this was regular procedure. However, for residents attending on issues that were very important in the beginning of the year, like housing, funding, and development, found it quite confusing. By February, governance itself had become part of the story, not because council broke rules, but because it was openly debating how strictly to apply their own bylaws, particularly around application deadlines, which we'll get into in a moment, eligibility criteria, and how much discretion council had when their own staff recommended saying no. And related to that, housing pressure showed up early too. In January, nearly 100 people gathered for a public housing session in Tantramar, raising concerns about affordability, development, and long-term planning. A turnout that made clear this wasn't a future problem, it was already here. That pressure followed council into the winter and spring with debates over development incentives, deadlines, precedent, including a late application for a $180,000 tax rebate tied to the former AIL pipe factory on Walker Road. The application submitted nearly 2.5 years after the deadline by Right Coast Realty and the AIL Group was ultimately rejected on legal advice, a decision that underscored how tightly council was walking the line between flexibility and fairness. Some ideas didn't make it very far. A proposed off-leash dog park was shelved after concerns about disease, liability, and location proved too much to overcome. A vegetation bylaw found no support at council, and small decisions on paper, but together they contributed to a growing sense that 2025 was going to be a year of cautious no's alongside cautious maybes. And governance challenges weren't just limited to Tantramar. Across the marsh, Straight Shores Council faced months of turbulence, including Councillor Stacey Jones resigning amid efforts to repair what consultants described as a fractured relationship between council and staff. The situation, which involved mediation efforts including a conflict tied to Councillor Andy O'Brien, again became a reminder that how councils operate can quickly become the news itself. In a situation that ultimately led to the province stepping in to appoint an administrator to oversee municipal operations. Back in Tantramar, council looked inward, considering a proposed code of conduct that would expand reprimands to include suspension. Another sign that accountability over governance was already front of mind for this council. Now, on climate, energy, and the environment, back between January and April, there were already many stories threaded through CHMA's reporting, well before July 14th. Consultant Craig Paulette was leading a 3-year strategic planning process for Tantramar, with the full draft scheduled for council by late March and approved for April. The town's Climate Change Advisory Committee was already pushing council to think bigger. Committee Chair Doug Bliss called for a near net zero emissions goal for the Tantramar Veterans Memorial Civic Center by 2032, noting the municipality spent roughly $200,000 on electricity there in 2023, arguing that conservation and retrofits could dramatically reduce operating costs. That kind of conversation about emissions, infrastructure, long-term costs, and reducing the region's carbon footprint was already in full swing well before energy debates exploded later in the year. Meanwhile, arts, culture, and community life continued alongside the heavier policy discussions. The Owens Art Gallery partnered with the Smithsonian to exhibit work by Edward Mitchell Bannister, often described as New Brunswick's forgotten art legend. Mount Allison University laid out a $95 million vision for a new library and multisport complex, while its ECAB lab continued documenting the legacy of New Brunswick's decades-long DDT experiment. Struts Gallery director Paul Henderson spoke openly about the challenge of financing major renovations for a century-old building that still anchors contemporary arts activity in the region. And Mount A students capped Black History Month with the university's first Black Excellence Gala. Health and social services also featured prominently. Nursing Home Without Walls officially launched in Sackville, offering a new model to help older adults age in place. The Sackville Memorial Hospital became home to a new university training campus, while its foundation launched a campaign to raise $150,000 for a primary care center, serving more than 1,600 patients. Concerns about emergency response continued to surface, with Ambulance New Brunswick facing criticism over response times, even as Straight Shores was selected for a pilot project aimed at improvement. So if there's a headline for January to April 2025 for Tantramar, it might be that Tantramar hit the ground running hard in 2025. Residents were engaged, climate, energy, and housing were already part of the conversation. Governance questions resurfaced and surfaced in different areas, and the community kept moving. There was arts and culture, student activity, activism, and more. It set the stage for what's coming in part 2, May to August in Tantramar, according to CHMA News, where summer arrived, festivals filled the calendar, debates continued, and more. Capture this on chmafm.com and tune in on Wednesday for part 2. For CHMA Local News, I'm Clinton Davis.
And welcome back. It is 10 minutes after 9. Thanks for that, Clint. Clint will be back again on Wednesday. And tomorrow we'll have some local briefs to fill in our local news section. Big CP News is not back to work just yet. They are taking a holiday, so we don't have an Atlantic update for you because that does come in from the Canadian press, and we have to, well, of course, we respect that they're taking holidays, but it also means that we don't have any news to report to you. Yeah, that's how that works. I do have a weather for you, but before we get to the weather, I'm just going to jump in here and just double check on the Tantramar socials and see if there's anything that they want to get out there as we normally do. And I know they're also taking a break as well, so we're just going to leave it at that. But there is a note that is important to get out there. Something valid related to coming up on Thursday, January 1st. The Dorchester Annual Polar Dip 2026 is coming up, presented by the Greater Dorchester Moving Forward Co-op. So that's at Palmer's Pond in Dorchester, 1 p.m. Thursday, January the 1st. So it's going to be a big party, a big celebration. So I think there's a registration sheet and a sponsor sheet and all that kind of stuff. So you want to find out as much information. And there's a contest for best dressed, and the Trails Committee will be serving hot chocolate and a barbecue. So it's going to be a big fest. You can get a sponsor sheet at min@station8nb.ca. You can also sign up and pay the day of, but advanced sign up is encouraged. So there's a bit of a note for you. Let's check out the weather. There is a big storm coming today, and at least was anticipated yesterday, and all throughout. I know that it was in Nova Scotia a little bit, and in Newfoundland a lot. There is a freezing rain warning coming in from Environment Canada. They are saying that freezing rain is expected today in central and southern New Brunswick, except Grand Manan and coastal Charlotte County. Freezing rain for 4 to 8 hours, about 5 to 10 millimeters, and that's this morning well into tonight. Freezing rain will change into rain this afternoon or evening as temperatures rise above zero. There'll also be a period of snow or ice pellets before the freezing rain. So that's a bit of good news in that it is a little bit of freezing rain that will be changing, but they don't say when it's going to be changing. So, well, they do. Actually, I just read it. It said afternoon or evening. So, given that it's not raining just yet, it looks like it could be a messy day, but doesn't seem like it'll last too long. Roads and walkways will likely become icy and slippery, and they may be significant impact on rush hour traffic. Well, not so much in Sackville, but definitely will can reframe that in that the roads will still be slippery. So coming to a stop is, in Sackville, yeah, I find it a little harder sometimes in the iciness to come to a stop in Sackville than I do in Moncton, because I think speeds are maybe a smidge higher. I'm not sure. But be careful out there. I know that I'm going to be walking home, and it wasn't started when I came in at 20 after 8. Just keep a close eye out on that. I have someone that is traveling today, coming in from just outside of Halifax, and I will continue to be worried about them until they get here, because that freezing rain can really make things difficult. So let's get into your 7-day forecast here. It is saying current conditions are -9. The wind is calm. There is no wind chill. So that's what we're expecting today. Increased cloudiness today. Freezing rain or snow beginning this afternoon. Wind becoming southeast 20, gusting to 40 this afternoon. High of -2. Wind chill -18 this morning. -6 this afternoon. Freezing rain tonight, changing to rain near midnight. Fog patches developing near midnight. Rainfall about 10 millimeters. Wind southeast 30, gusting to 50. Temperature raising to 6 by morning. For Tuesday the 30th, rain ending in the morning and then mainly cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries. Fog patches dissipating early on Tuesday morning. Wind southwest 30, gusting to 50. Temperature falling to -6 in the afternoon. Wind chilled -16 in the afternoon. Tuesday night, cloud appears, a low of -12. For Wednesday the 31st, a mix of sun and cloud, high of -8. Wednesday night, cloud appears with a low of -10. And for New Year's Day, January the 1st, periods of snow, high of -3. Cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries and a low of -14 on Thursday night. Friday the 2nd, a mix of sun and cloud with a 30% chance of flurries and a high of -12. Friday night, cloudy periods with a low of -13. Mix of sun and cloud coming in on Saturday the 3rd, high of -9. Cloudy periods with a low of -15 on Saturday night. Cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries and a high of -8 on Sunday, January the 4th. And that is your news. That's your weather. That's substituting your news. We'll have Onver coming up at the 12 and 5 spots with your weather. And right now, what we have is Brian Nielsen with your CHMA Sports Update.
NFL season drawing to a close with just 1 week left. Over the weekend saw the Houston Texans keep their hopes alive for a number 1 seed in the AFC with a 20-16 victory over the Los Angeles Chargers. The Baltimore Ravens, behind a 4-touchdown performance by Derrick Henry, defeat the Green Bay Packers 41-24. Couple that with the Cleveland Browns defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers 13-6 on Sunday, and the AFC North will come down to a winner-take-all next Sunday evening to see who makes the playoffs between the Steelers and the Ravens. The Bengals, they played yesterday. They defeated the Arizona Cardinals 37-14. No big playoff implications in that one. Another one with teams going nowhere. The Saints defeat the Titans 34-26. Jaguars keep trucking along in their attempts to be a number 1 seed in the AFC. They defeat the Indianapolis Colts 23-17. It was the Dolphins handing the Buccaneers a surprising loss 20-17. Couple Tampa Bay's loss with the Carolina Panthers also losing to the visiting Seattle Seahawks 27-10. And you have in the NFC South next week another winner-take-all game to make the playoffs between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers, with the possibility that a team with a losing record could make the playoffs should Tampa Bay win. They would finish at 8-9 on the season. New England Patriots, they stop the Buffalo Bills streak of winning the AFC East by defeating the New York Jets 42-10, coupling that with the Buffalo Bills in a heartbreaker, losing 13-12 to the visiting Super Bowl champions 13-12. In the race for the number 1 overall pick next year, the Las Vegas Raiders got the inside track by losing to the New York Giants. Giants with a 34-10 victory means they're creeping up to the number 2 spot. And in a back and forth, good old-fashioned shootout on Sunday night, it was the San Francisco 49ers holding off the last-ditched efforts of the Chicago Bears to defeat the visitors 42-38. And the NHL, just a few games to tell you about yesterday, beginning with the Tampa Bay Lightning defeating the Montreal Canadiens 5-4 at a shootout in Tampa. The Blue Jackets double up on the Islanders, a 4-2 final there. An original 6 battle between Detroit and Toronto saw the Red Wings win in overtime 3-2. Penguins all over Chicago 7-3 in Illinois. And it was the Seattle Kraken at Old Climate Pledge Arena with the 4-1 victory over visiting Philadelphia Flyers. The NBA full swing again. This time saw the Toronto Raptors at home against the Golden State Warriors have to play catch-up just to force overtime, and then in overtime just absolutely destroy the Warriors. They finished with a 141-127 victory behind a 23-14 25 and 10 triple-double by Scotty Barnes. Oklahoma City Thunder with the 129-104 victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. It was the Wizards by 4 over the Grizzlies at home, 116-112. Trailblazers defeat the Boston Celtics 114-108. The resurgent Clippers behind Kawhi Leonard's 55 points defeat the visiting Detroit Pistons 112-99, and it was the Lakers at home rebounding from their losing streak with a 125-101 victory over the Sacramento Kings. And finally, the only other league in action over the weekend, it was the PWHL. On Saturday, the Ottawa Charge defeat the Boston Fleet 3-2 in a shootout in Ottawa, and Toronto defeated Montreal 2-1 on Saturday as well, and it took overtime for the Minnesota Frost to defeat the Vancouver Golden Eyes in Vancouver. And yesterday's game saw the New York Sirens at home hosting the Seattle Torrent, and the Sirens take the victory 4-3.
And that was your CHMA Sports Update from Brian Nielsen. Brian and I are back on the radio this week, not taking any holidays, so you can be sure to tune in at 8:30 for that, and Brian will have it for you, and I will be doing the technical production to make sure that it airs at the other times in the day. Right around now, we are going to take a quick look at some events. Well, everybody's taking the much-needed holiday that they have, and the holidays seem to fall in such a way that it's a great time to take a holiday as well, which also means that there's folks aren't planning a lot of events, so there's not a ton of things to tell you about. But we do have some things, of course. As Brian mentioned earlier, Steve Haley and the Star Family Singers doing a show down at Ducky's tomorrow night. That's at 7 p.m. for the doors, and it's going to be quite a calm and lovely folk evening down at Ducky's. And Steve, of course, will have copies of his new album Secret Knock, which is a glorious thing, and you should pick up a copy if you're coming out. And what did they say at the doors? $15 at the door. So come down and enjoy a beautiful, quiet evening. The Sackville Legion is doing a New Year's Eve. That's at the Branch 26 down on Lawrence Street. Faye Tower and the Bonnie Buddies will be on at 9:30, going straight till 12:30. $10 at the door, 50/50. Finger foods and snacks, party favors to ring in the new year. Again, that is down at 15 Lawrence Street. Sackville, also another thing, Sackville Snowflake or Winter Wonderland dot painting workshop is happening. Oh, that's quite a ways away because I just kind of got to the scroll pretty quick. That's Thursday, January 15th. It's happening down at the Painted Pony, so you can put that one. That's coming up in a couple of weeks, so there's still time to plan on that. That is an event put on by Dottable Mandalas. So that's a great craft thing to do. That's $40 plus tax, and you get to choose a 4-inch rock or a 4-inch candle holder or both. There you go. So a workshop happening down at the Painted Pony Bar and Grill. And that's kind of like I was looking around, and of course Winterfest is coming up from the town of Tantramar, so you can look into those kinds of things. If you have any events, let us know. Station at chmafm.com or PSA at chmafm.com. You can also go to our website and go to the form under Community News and submit something. I will let you know about a couple of hockey games that are coming up, some women's hockey games. Home game versus Matthew Martin here at the Civic Center. That's going to be Friday, January the 2nd. The women's Titans team, they did an alumni game last week. So they're going to be doing this the Titans ladies against Matthew Martin, and that's at 8:15 p.m. on Friday, January 2nd. And on Saturday, January 24th, they're going to be doing a home game versus LJR, and that's going to be at 4:30. So there's plenty of time to keep that in mind. But I'm scrolling through the places that I normally go, and that's about our event roundup and our community news. So thanks to Clinton for doing such a great job on the news, and we'll be back tomorrow morning with some more. And Brian, of course, for our sports update. We certainly couldn't do it without them. Let's get out of the sports rotation segment and get into some music. Here we go. It is 9:24, and I'll be back with some music for you.
Hey, this is Janet Hammock, and I'm from Sackville, and you're listening to CHMA.
A quintuple header.
And that's Brian Nielsen with your CHMA Sports.
Hey, this is Hannah, and you're listening to CHMA 106.9 FM in Sackville, New Brunswick.
Hey folks, the Winterfest 2026 is happening February 5th to the 8th, and they are looking for event submissions. So if you want to host something fun, you can simply email your event name, location, and a short description along with your contact information to j.wilson@tantrumrnb.com. Everything must be submitted by January 2nd, 2026 at 4:30 p.m. So do not miss out, folks.
You're invited to a New Year's levee at the Keeler House Museum, 4974 Main Street, Dorchester on January 1st, 2026, 1 p.m. Warm up by the fire after the polar dip, enjoy some yummy chili, soup, other treats. Hosted by the Westmoreland Historical Society. See you there!
And that was your CHMA News. Please visit www.chmafm.com for more news and to sign up for our email newsletter. Funding is provided by our monthly sustainers, the Community Radio Fund of Canada, and the Municipality of Tantramara's Community Development Grant. If you have a story idea or would like to include an announcement, please write us at news@chmafm.com. And it is 9:26 on Monday, December 29th. Hope you're all enjoying the holidays. And yeah, it was nice to take a holiday, but it's nice to get back into the seat as well. Yeah, I'm your host, James Anderson, and who is Kimmy will be up tomorrow morning, 7:30. Maya Noel live at 5 o'clock. Siley is still going to be out until about January 20th when she returns, but she'll this at the end of next week. Next week she'll be back helping us out in other ways, keeping the community calendar update, doing some programming and things like that. But we do say farewell to Craig Muvasa. Craig's been with us for about 3 years, and Craig will continue to come around the station and hang out here and just be a presence as a valued community member that he is. But he will not be on air in the new year and is currently driving on his way to Montreal. So let's all thank Craig for all he's done for the Voice of the Marshes and keep our fingers crossed for him driving in northern New Brunswick, eastern Quebec this time of year with that freezing rain coming. And he was kind enough to share his location with me so that I wouldn't worry so much. That was his idea, not mine. And I thought that was very sweet. But that just goes to show that we care for each other here at the Voice of the Marshes. And good luck on your drive, Craig, even though no one ain't listening. But big thanks to Craig for filling in quite a bit over the holidays. And so we'll see Craig, and maybe we'll convince him to come back on the mic at some point, and I'm sure he will, because he said he deeply cherishes his time here at CHMA, and we're glad to have him back whenever he can make it, but he needs to focus on his studies. This week we'll have Kimmy, myself, and Maya Noel filling in, and that is a good launching to say that CHMA is looking for hosts as well. If you enjoy the idea, if you think daytime hosting is a thing that goes right up your alley, that and you have a little bit of time, we kind of have it structured so that it's as flexible as we can make it. So what does that mean? Well, it means that usually the hosts get 5 hours a week and they get into a time slot. So it might be morning, it might be noon, it might be the 5 o'clock or maybe the 4 o'clock, 11. But those we try to keep. And Saturday afternoon are two new slots that we've been trying to fill. So Ashna's been doing Saturday during the day, and Ashna's also away. Sorry, I forgot about Ashna. She does Saturday, so she's not usually in our daytime host Slack conversations, but she's definitely a huge contributor. But Ashna is also on a beach right now in Mexico. So we've got quite a few hosts that are down, but we still have some that are around. So we'll keep it going. We'll keep the spirits up. We'll keep you entertained and informed as much as we can. But Ashna is coming back as soon as the holiday is over. She's just taken a thing during the new year, which I think is a great idea, and get some sun while you can. But yeah, she'll be back next week as well, jumping in on the mic a little more often. But yeah, if it's this is the kind of thing that you might be interested in, you can run over to chmafm.com, look under menu, and under what do we call that thing? Careers and internships. Then you can find more information about the positions that are posted. So we're usually going for about 5 hours a week and pays $20 an hour, and it is flexible. And the biggest thing